All right, so I caught yet another episode of Skeleton Crew, and again, it's all right. It's fine for what it is. There's story elements. There's plot points, stuff like that. You know, they appear to be going somewhere, and there's little teases and clues. I suspect what it's going for. All right, my guess is Wim's dad is the pirate captain. You know, I mean, when they showed the scene when the parents were getting all upset and they wanted to contact the Republic, and they were saying, well, wait, hang on a minute. And for whatever reason, they've isolated themselves from the rest of the galaxy and that sort of thing. And the citizenry seems to be completely unaware of this. But Wim's dad is very quiet. Sitting in that room, and so that'd be my guess as to who this mysterious captain was that left that ship buried in the ground on the legendary planet of At-Aten, and of course the deactivated droid sitting there. And we get a little more about the droid and his programming to keep it all a secret and this sort of thing throughout this episode. So that's my guess. Maybe not, but yeah, what other character could it be? He's on At-Aten, and we don't get much else of anyone else on that planet other than the kids, of course. And so it's probably him. And all this time, you know, the boy didn't realize his father had been this, you know, space captain who had these adventures and everything. And now he's just this, you know, rather milquetoast guy. He goes to his job and he's very responsible and you know, all that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of where they'll go with it. You know, as for the rest of it, there appears to have been some sort of planned out idea for these planets. There's several of them, and we got we got the clues for that in the previous episode where the strange owl lady showed them the star charts. And in this episode, they think they're going to At-Aten, but they're going to one of the other planets, and that At-Aten is the only planet that survived whatever this is. Now, the planet that they go to, it's still there, and it looks like At-Aten, but it's in ruins, and there's this brutal, I don't even know if you can say it's a civil war. It's probably just tribal warfare between the roaming gangs that are around, and they have child soldiers and all this sort of stuff. It's really a dark place. You only get really the surface of it. But that's what happened, you know, whatever the plan was or what it failed and collapsed into ruin. And so it appears something of that nature occurred. As for the other planets, what happened to them as well? Did they suffer the same fate as this one, or some of them completely dead? You know, you don't know. But it appears At-Aten is the only one that survived all of this. So it's the mystery aspect of that is intriguing as to what unfolded here, whereas they're completely isolated and the rest of the galaxy knows nothing about it. However, they did mention that they do some amount of trading with ships. So other ships have been to this planet. And yet it's like, well, leave. You know, it's a terrible planet. Yeah. And there's all these looks like they're dead satellites in orbit around the planet. So I guess whatever that shields At-Aten from the outside galaxy, you know, back and forth, because the people on the planet can't see it, you know, from where they are, and then other people can't find At-Aten, and it's apparently this sort of cloak that these satellites provide, whereas this planet, everything's in ruin, so I'm assuming the satellites don't work. And they do mention that they've traded with roaming spaceships that have come to the planet. And they're down to one of their biggest currency is hides. So that's where they are, and it's like, hop a ride on a passing ship, you'd be better off. But now they're more concerned with their territorial warfare and all that. So it's a bit of a weakness there, I would say. I mean, the kids wouldn't know much better because they probably don't remember how it was before, but the adults seem to be pretty old enough to they know something of that nature. But what have you, turns out there's an information bureau. They call it the Fallen Sanctum. Yeah. So the kids and Jude Law, they get there, Crimson Jack. And this is the thing with Crimson Jack. At first, he comes to the rescue for the kids. They basically have been drafted into this child army and put to the front lines. But then here comes Crimson Jack. And at first I thought, him and the robot must have, because they got caught by the other tribe that found their ship and everything. And I thought, off camera, he and the robot, kicked their asses and took their stuff or whatever. But no, he made a deal with them and paid them off with Wim's credits that he has, which are genuine. Like the outside galaxy is impressed with these. They haven't seen their like in so long, that sort of thing. And so that's how he did it. So, okay. And so they get to this information bureau, which is a tower. You see, when the Fallen Sanctum, I would have thought it was something that collapsed into the ground and they had to go down into a cavern or whatever. But no, it's a tower. So they get there, and basically there's these pillars that have the coordinates of each of the planets. So obviously there's some coordination with them. They all have the word at, at the beginning of their titles and all that. But the one for Ad Atten is damaged, and lo and behold, you discover the robot's the one who did it. So this is very much because look, whoever his captain was landed the ship on Ad Atten. He got there, didn't want anyone to know where it was, and then what's the secret treasure there? And ultimately it was the secret treasure of, hey, I want to escape my space pirate past, and this is such a lovely community. I just want to be here and raise a kid and live out my life in peace and comfort. And that's the true treasure. And Crimson Jack is like, what? And that it could very well be that that's what it is. But anyway, this activates the robot, and it's bad. But don't worry, there's an off switch. And all of that. There is, for a girl boss, Fern, there's a humbling moment for her, but then again, she immediately figures out what to do and stuff like that. So, you take it or leave it, however you go. But usually that's necessary when she's having to admit that she's not all that. A second girl boss shows up, but she's one of the child soldiers. She's been a soldier since, she could walk and stuff like that. She becomes a bit of a crush for Elephant Boy. Yeah, it's all sweet and everything. And apparently because she's never met anybody who's sweet. Yeah, but also he's a blue elephant. But anyway, it's sweet and nice, and now he's got a new crush rather than that whoever he had a crush on back on the other planet. And but it's brief and everything, and she's quite taken with them all, helps them out and that sort of thing. So, and then she goes back to the war. Oh, will Elephant Boy ever see her again? Seems unlikely, but what have you. But there, a moment for Elephant Boy, who's just really scared all the time and not really cut out for this. No. But, well, he's cute and sweet. So there you go. That's Elephant Boy. Oh, Neil. Neil's his name. Sorry, Elephant Boy. So anyway, it's a simple show. More work in plotting and character development and whatnot, for the most, well, kind of vague, really, and more activity and some amount of adventure. It's, all very childlike and everything, but it's understandable considering its premise. But there's more in that than there was in most, if except for a few exceptions, Mandalorian, Andor, and than the rest, and this comes in as probably the third best of their DP shows, for Star Wars. But of course, it's nowhere near enough for the damage done, and but yeah, I've said it a million times. There's no point in doing it anymore. But as far as this show goes, it's all right. If by some bizarre reason your kid wants to watch a Star Wars show, you can let him watch this one. So far. I mean, this could all take a terrible turn, but it's almost over, so probably not. So anyway, there you go.